Hey, welcome back to my channel. It's Miss T, back with another video. Tales from a special ed teacher. It's been a few weeks since I've uploaded. I've been doing a few things. Just trying to get back into routine, of course, after spring break. And also it is annual review time, so I've been getting students IEPs ready for the next school year and meeting with parents. Well, let me say trying to meet with parents. I've had 2 annual review conferences scheduled, and neither one of those parents showed up. So I'm 0 for 2 right now, but that's okay. I'm used to it. It's sad that parents have students who have these plans and they don't exercise their right to have a say-so, you know, or voice their thoughts and concerns by not coming to the conferences. They tell me they'll come and then they don't show up. And I do try numerous amounts of times, at least 3 times, to get them to come. But it's just not successful. So what I do is I send them a copy of the plan, and so they will have it in their possession. If they have any questions, they can contact me, or they can talk with the teacher for the next upcoming grade. But anyway, let's see. Let's talk about my kiddos, how they've been doing. The last video I posted was about my student, one of my students with autism. Well, let me say his disability was autism, but we just changed it when we met. It was educational autism, let me say that. And we met a few months ago for his 3-year reevaluation. His disability was actually changed from autism to other health impaired, because he has ADHD. Me, myself, I think he has a little bit of ODD, oppositional defiance. And I also feel like he's somewhat, he has maybe some bipolar. A bipolar disability is a disorder as well. And Mom has stated that she feels the same way because they've had some family history of it. But he's not been diagnosed with anything but ADHD. So that's neither here nor there. Just a personal, from personal experience. Anyway, so let's see. Last week, this student, of course, he's the one I told you guys he likes to disappear. He likes to leave the building without permission. He'll leave the classroom. He'll leave the building. So last Tuesday, I guess it was, we were in class. I actually go to his second class because he usually starts to get a little frustrated and act up around 11 when they switch classes from literacy to math. So I always try to just go keep an eye on and check in and see, make sure, you know, he's okay try to head off some of the things before they start. So he was in the mood when I did go into the classroom about 11:15. And he decided that he didn't want to go to the restroom. The teacher was giving a restroom break, so I, just stood by the door so he wouldn't be in the room by himself. And I could tell he was in the mood by just his body language, his facial expressions. Not sure exactly what happened. I found out later that the teacher had rearranged her room for testing, and I guess he didn't want to sit where she had moved him to. Anyway, he was sitting quietly at first, just kind of like I said, in a mood, you could tell. Then he began to take things from the teacher's table where he was sitting in the back of the classroom, and he began to throw some sticky notes and pencils and little things like that on the floor. And I told him, I said, you know, I need you to pick that up. I said, because those things are not bothering you. You know, they're not bothering you, so I really need you to pick those up. And there was another student in the classroom, too, that didn't want to go to the restroom. A regular general ed student. And so that student started to pick the things up. And I said, no. I said, I need, you know, my student. I'm not going to call his name, but I need him to pick those things up because he was the one that threw them on the floor. Of course, my student refused. And so the things were just on the floor. The class comes back from the restroom break. The teacher and the rest of the class comes back into the classroom. And the teacher begins her lesson. And he's sitting quietly at this time, not participating, but not bothering anything. And for me as a SPED teacher, you know, I let the little things slide. So I didn't try to force him to pick those things up off the floor. And as long as he was sitting quietly in the back, not bothering anybody, you know, I wasn't going to make him more upset. So the teacher began to go on with her lesson. She began her math lesson for the day. And she got to a certain point where she was having the students to work out problems. And I have other students in that class as real resource students that I pull. And they began to come over and ask me for help. And so I did. And even the regular students came over there and wanted me to check their work while the teacher walked around the classroom and helped others. Needless to say, while I was helping this small group of 3 or 4 students, I took my eyes off of the student I came in there for. And never saw him leave the classroom. Now, the teacher did, but she never brought it to my attention. So I guess the student had been gone about 2 or 3 minutes, and a teacher comes in from down the hall. And this teacher was like, is so-and-so gone? And I'm like, no, so-and-so's right. And I turn and I look, and of course, he is gone. And I said, what happened? He was just here. And so the teacher proceeds to tell me that a student just informed him that they saw my student go out the back door. Yeah. I'm like, oh my goodness. I come in here to watch him. I get sidetracked and he slips through. I didn't even see him. So I'm at the point, you know, the day before he had some issues, little small issues. So this was just one of those days where I'm like, you know, I'm not feeling it today. I'm not going to argue with this student today, you know. We're just not going to do this. Because the day before, he had caused some disruption, and I had to have his mom to actually come. We don't come inside the building and remove him from the building because he had flipped over chairs and a desk. He did that in the presence of his mom. So he had an incident the day before being disruptive in the classroom. So I called Mom on my way outside. I'm like, look, you know, your son has left the building without permission. I'm trying to find him now. So I get out the back door and I walk towards, we have a track up behind our building. And so that's usually where he likes to run to. So I walk up the steps toward the track, and I turn around and I see him standing behind the building in the corner. So I have my eyes and I'm letting Mom know, you know, hey, I see him. He's just standing there. You know, he got his hood over his head, just standing there. So she says, you know, she's going to come get him. Because like I said the day before, she had to come inside and get him. And he wouldn't. He was refusing to go with her. Basically, he refused to get up. So she tries to reach for him the day before to, you know, help him up. He jerks away from her. And then he gets up and starts pushing the desk and things over. And it's to the point where she had to, you know, get up in his face, you know, and let him know how you're not going to disrespect me in this school. And practically had to drag him out of the school. And that day, guys, I was afraid for Mom because Mom just had a baby. She lost the baby a few weeks ago. And I hate to bother her because she's dealing with so much. But the student, you know, when he gets aggressive like that, there's really not a whole lot we can do with him. And so this was day 2, and she was so upset on the phone, and she just said she didn't know what to do. She's at a loss. You know, he won't talk to the counselor. He won't talk to her. He won't say why he's acting the way he's acting. So she comes and picks him up, and he doesn't move from that spot of, from behind the building. He doesn't try to walk anywhere like usual. He doesn't move from that spot until Mom pulls up. When Mom pulls up, he leaves that spot and gets in the car. And, that was that day. So I think that was on the Monday and Tuesday of last week. And then, so she decides she's going to keep him home for the rest of the week. It was only a 4-day week because of the Easter break. So she kept him home Wednesday and Thursday. Thursday, my second student that has autism decides he wants to have a day. So the day before that Wednesday, last Wednesday, he had an episode before, but he has a family member that works at the school, so she usually deals with him. I just let her deal with him because it's just, sometimes it's easier. And so he had an outburst and had done some things, had the episode, and so she dealt with him that day. But this day she wasn't here at school. And he was at recess. It was 9 o'clock. They have a 9 o'clock recess, and he was at recess. The teacher texts my phone. No, she calls me because they have my phone number. So she calls me from outside the building. She says, "Hey, he's gone. He's walked out the playground. He's hit a student and walked out the playground, and there's a parapro walking behind him." Like I said, they were outside at recess. They were up on the track behind the building because the playground was wet. And so he left the track after he went and hit a student in the back. He left the track walking. So I go outside, me and the teacher's, student teacher, and we see him coming from behind the building. We're at the front of the building. They're coming from the back of the building. Of course, there's no talking to him, no reasoning with him. He's in a mood. He's just walking. So we proceed to get in line behind him and just kind of watch him and monitoring. I did kind of ask him what was wrong, what was going on. Of course, he wasn't going to tell me, wasn't talking. So he made a few rounds around the building. I thought he was going to go off campus, but he did not. And I did call the principal, so the principal would know we were outside. And he had walked off just in case he did leave the campus. So he walked around for a little while. Wouldn't go back in the building. Finally got tired, I guess, and he decided to sit down on the sidewalk in the front of the building. Still not talking to us. Not even acknowledging that we're there. Just he'll turn around and look at us every once in a while. After a few minutes, he, I guess, decided it's time to go in. So he goes into the building. And I go in behind him. He's going to class. I'm like, great. He's over his little thing. He's going to class. He goes into class. He grabs his Chromebook. He loves the Chromebook. And he comes back out of the classroom with the Chromebook. And I tell him, I said, no, you don't get rewarded for the behavior that you just showed us. You hit someone and you left your designated area without permission. And so that upset him. He went back into the classroom, threw the Chromebook onto the floor, proceeded to scream and yell at me that he was going to do some assignment on the Chromebook. But I'm like, no, if you're going to do that assignment, you have to stay, in the class and do it, because he was coming out of the class. What it is, we have a calm down room. I've told you guys this about this before, and he likes to go in there, but when he goes in there and gets on the Chromebook, and he'll stay all day. Nobody makes him come out. If they try to make him come out, he gets that much more upset. He really does avoid, and like I said, he has a family member right there on campus, so I don't try to force him. She doesn't try to make him. I mean, pretty much he spends most of his day out of class. He spends more time out of class than he does in class. And usually he's got a Chromebook or something. So he was upset. He went into the calm down room, which I was fine with, because at least he didn't start roaming in the building, running around the building or hiding. I didn't have to chase him. So once he was in there and I saw that he was okay, he locked me out the room, of course, which I have a key, but he locked the door, and I could tell he was, you know, just didn't want to be bothered, so I left him in there. I went to check on him probably about an hour or so later. He was asleep. And then I went back to check on him about 12:30 because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, let me go see if he's, you know, gotten up and went to class. Of course, he hadn't. He was still in there. He was sound asleep. So I had to wake him up, you know, tell him to go get his lunch. He grabbed his lunch, went back into the same room with his lunch. At this point, guys, this has been a long year, and I'm like, whatever, as long as he's not bothering anybody. I did have the assistant principal to call his mom and let her know about both incidents, because this hitting thing was a new behavior. He'd never hit anybody before. So I wanted to make sure that mom was aware of that incident the day before that apparently the family member was supposed to tell mom about but did not. And then I wanted her to make sure she was aware of this incident where he's hit this young lady because he got upset over a swing. Because like I said, this was new behavior. And so that was my Thursday. Well, actually, that happened Thursday, and like I said, the first part of the week, I had those other two incidents. So last week was eventful. We started ACT Aspire testing today. And I'm sorry, I didn't even say, today is April the 19th, Tuesday. And we started ACT, our state testing today. And it went pretty good. I have small groups. So I had 4 students in my small group, 4 students that are on my caseload. 3 of which, well, I'm going to say 2. 2 of which have an autistic diagnosis. And the third one was the one that I was talking about earlier that we changed his to other health impaired, that he likes to run off. And then the last one is his diagnosis as specific learning disability. So he's just kind of low in all kinds of areas. He actually started the year off in a self-contained classroom. He told mom that he wasn't, he didn't want to be in there, so mom came and removed him from the self-contained classroom. He went to a regular classroom and started seeing me for resource. He's made progress. He's done pretty good, but he's has some ADHD as well, and he does not take his prescription medicine as he should, and that it causes him to be off focus, off task. He acts real silly. So that's my small group I had today. Sorry if my camera's moving. My dog's right here. He's bumping the table. But it went well. The small group testing, it went well. I didn't have any major issues. One of the students was didn't want to take the test at first. You know, he was kind of giving me a little resistance. This is Max, guys. He was giving me a little resistance, but we got it together, and we took math today, and it was 65 minutes. And they did well. They got it done, and they all went and took a nap afterwards because they got finished before time was over, so they all took a nap. So, but this afternoon, I'll tell you, I have so many stories, but this afternoon, Max, sit. I was on my way to class, and one of my indirect students, little girl, her classmates come out of the classroom. They were on their way to activity, and my room was across the hall from theirs, and the classmates come out and they're like, you know, Miss T, you need to go get so-and-so. She's in there trying to hurt herself with the pencil. She's trying to stab herself with the pencil. And I'm like, what? You know, this behavior, she's never done anything like this before. She's real quiet. Like I said, I know she's not indirect. I only see her 2 days a week because she's one of my highest students. So she's in my highest group. And I'm like, what is going on? So by this time, the teacher comes out the classroom with her. The child is boo-hooing, crying. So I take her from the teacher so she can handle the rest of her class and take them to where they're supposed to go. Of course, you know, she wouldn't tell me what was going on with it. What was, you know, I'm asking her, you know, what's going on? Is somebody hurting you? Somebody bullying you? She kept shaking her head. So, I said, okay, I'm going to get you some paper and a pen, and maybe you know, if you don't want to talk about it, maybe you'll write about it. Because I have had success with students who don't want to actually tell me what's going on. They'll write to me and tell me. So she got the pen and paper. She didn't write anything down. So she's 11 years old. She's a 5th grader. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, as an 11-year-old, the most major drama most of them have with her day, you know, this is the end of the day. This is 2 o'clock. So I'm figuring it's something that had to happen at school. So I'm thinking either her or her group of friends got into it because they have so much drama. Or, you know, at this age, they call themselves having boyfriends. So I'm thinking it has to do something with a boy. She wouldn't tell me. I started asking. She, you know, I went through her friends list the ones I know, and she's like, nothing, you know, she kept shaking her head. No, it's nothing to do with the friends. I did mention the boyfriend, and she kind of didn't respond. So I kind of knew that's probably what it was. And then later, the teacher came in a few minutes after that and confirmed that's what it was. Her and her boo broke up. I'm thinking to myself, and the teacher and I talked to her really good. We're like, sweetheart, you know, that boy at this age, that should be your least concern. And, you know, there are plenty of boys, you know, you have plenty of time for that. You know, the whole thing that adults tell children at this age, of course. She's still crying, but she's getting better. You know, and she probably thought we were fussing at her, you know, but I'm thinking to myself, my goodness, at 11 years old, you want to do harm to yourself because of a boy. You know, that's a lot of pressure, a lot of stress for a kid this age. I just felt so bad. But I did talk to the counselor because at the time I knew the counselor was still doing testing. So I did talk to the counselor when she was free and let her know about the situation. Of course, the counselor had us to call mom. So the teacher did call mom to, you know, warn mom. And the counselor said she would see the young lady tomorrow. But guys, I'm telling you, it's so much that these students go through. And I know, I remember, you know, being younger, and it was, you know, little things that happened, it was like devastating to us. But I never, you know, thought about hurting myself. Not, you know, that's something. And I never, you know, even my friends, not at that age. Now, when I was in high school, about a senior, I did have a classmate who tried to hurt her, so she took some pills, but she was 17, 18 years old. I mean, it doesn't make it better, but, you know, she was older. But 11, and I mean, mind you, you know, it was a pencil, but still, you know, it's something serious. It's really serious. You know, all because her and her boo broke up. So, I don't know. I worry about these kids, you know, at this age, there's it's like, you know, so much pressure at 11. I'm thinking to myself, what are you going to do when, you know, even more serious things come as a teenager, as a young adult, you know. It bothers me, but all I can do is pray for them and, you know, hope that they mature enough and begin to understand how to handle situations and things that come their way. But anyway, guys, I've been talking long enough. I just wanted to come and kind of tell you, catch you up on my life in past few weeks, what's been happening at school. Other than that, life's good. We have 28 days of school left, and I am so ready. We have 2 more days of state testing, 2 more mornings, so I may have some more stories to tell before it's all said and done. But until then, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will talk with you guys later. Bye.